stress hormones shut down the immune system to conserve energy so I can run away from the threat.
In the past year, I want you to just raise your hand if you've experienced relatively little stress. Anyone? How about a moderate amount of stress? Who's experienced a lot of stress? Yeah.
A significant issue that every individual has gone through is stress. Think to yourself, have you lacked of sleep, deprived yourself of food, and have considerably high blood pressure? Well, you are stressed. Stress is something that almost all organisms consisted of for over millions of years. These were techniques used to survive daily challenges such as escaping from a predator and having increased energy in order to find food. Stress was a helpful response to threats. However, as we do not see actual threats these days, we confuse ourselves with minor issues such as being stressed on giving public speeches, stressed on work, stressed on bills, and even school. But don't worry, in the documentary, we will explain how stress affects the body, how it can be avoided, and stress reduction with the ashwagandha roots and more. Firstly, we're going to go through the history of stress. In 1920, a medical student by the name of Hans Selye discovered a theory called stress during his time helping patients.
Man quietly sleeping in his bed, which the layperson would certainly not think is under stress. He's under some stress because his heart is continuing to beat. He has to go on using his respiratory muscles to breathe. Even his nervous system is working because he breathes. That absence of stress is death. Only the dead have no stress. One link which is the weakest, and no matter what stress of pushing you put on it, and no matter what direction, it will always predictably break right there. And it is just the same in medicine, and much of our scientific work in the laboratory here was concerned with the establishment of the particular conditioning circumstances or predisposing circumstances which make an experimental animal react with one or the other type of stress disease.
As Hans Selye stated, stress was something that was there when you are alive and gone when you are dead. It was an unavoidable epidemic. This was a vague theory at the time, and as time went on, we learned even more about it. Stress was identified into two types. The first one was chronic stress. This variety of stress, where individuals worry about daily issues such as pressures of work, family, and other responsibilities. This is known as the unhealthy type of stress, as it can cause severe damage to the body. We will discuss these damages later in the documentary. Another variety of stress is physical stress, which happens when an individual is in danger of being seriously hurt or killed. Examples include a major accident, war, assault, or a natural disaster. This is the safest type of stress as it is convenient and helpful in these type of situations. Let's go a bit deeper into how stress works in the body. When the body feels stress, the hypothalamus signals the adrenal glands to release certain hormones. The hormones epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol are released into the bloodstream. This causes the liver to produce more blood sugar, which makes the host have an increased energy, rapid breathing, and increased blood pressure. As adrenaline causes the heart to beat faster, over time this will cause hypertension or high blood pressure. Not only heart problems, there's more to it. The leading hormone which causes stress to be a disease is cortisol. Cortisol is one of the hormones released that can cause the most harmful symptoms. Cortisol can also cause endothelium or inner lining of blood vessels to not function normally. This will eventually lead to the process of atherosclerosis or cholesterol plaque in the arteries, which will increase the chances of heart attack or stroke for the host. Cortisol can also negatively impact the nervous, immune, cardiovascular, respiratory, reproductive, musculoskeletal, and integumentary systems. When the brain senses stress, it communicates stress to the enteric or the intestinal nervous system. This then leads to a disturbance to the contractions that move food through the gut. This will then lead to irritable bowel syndrome, which increases gut sensitivity to acid and makes it more prone to feel heartburns. This will also increase metabolism in the host. Now moving on to the benefits of ashwagandha, also known as its botanical name Withania somnifera. The origin of this plant comes from India, and the root is in part consumed. The name is derived from the words Sanskrit ashwa, meaning horse, and gandha, meaning odor. It was named this way because of its smell, but also the way people felt after they ate it, a horse. According to Indian tradition, ashwagandha is described as rasayana, which means lengthened lifespan, balya, which means increase in strength, and vajikara, which means better sexual health. According to modern researchers, ashwagandha is classified as adaptogen. These are compounds all the body to deal with the physical and chemical effects of stress. They also know that it reduces anxiety, causes better mood, and lowers stress hormones. Let's take a closer look at the chemical properties of ashwagandha roots. Ashwagandha contains over 200,000 different types of phytochemicals. Different types have various jobs. Some of them act as immune systems. Some also prevent bugs from consuming it, and some help the plant grow. When these phytochemicals come into contact with humans, an abundance of them actually have an effect on humans. Approximately 40 chemicals have a positive effect on people's bodies. Contains steroidal lactones, withanol A, withanol D, and withanone. These steroid-type phytochemicals are the main ones which help with reducing cortisol levels. This reduction can have a positive toll towards life, as the individual who has consumed it will be a lot less stressed. In order to prove the studies on the effects of ashwagandha, a clinical trial in 2008 took place. A Bengali research center conducted trials on 4 groups. The first one was a placebo. The second group consumed 125 grams of ashwagandha root extract per day. The third group consumed 250 grams of ashwagandha root extract per day, while the fourth group consumed 500 grams of ashwagandha root extract per day. After the experiment was completed, the results came in. As you can see, in the 0-day mark compared to the 60-day mark show that everybody except for the placebo group shows the trusting results. The most successful group was the 500 gram unit, as their stress level decreased to level 6.1 after 60 days. The second successful group is the 250 milligram unit. The stress levels were decreased to level 8.6 after 60 days. Third most successful group is the 125 milligram, as their stress level have decreased to level 11.3. Finally, the placebo group barely has any change, as in the graph, stress levels are consistent. The level is measured through the biochemical and clinical parameters, cortisol, DHEAS, and CRP. Now that we have some proof of ashwagandha benefiting the patients with increased doses, let's go deep into how ashwagandha is able to accomplish this. However, before that, we are going to look at free radicals. When the body needs energy, it uses ATP to store and release energy. When the power is needed, it is sent to its necessary spots throughout the cell. In order to produce ATP, a process called electron transport chain. During this production, an abundance of byproducts are produced, which is normal. One of these byproducts is electrons, thus given its name. As a product of oxidation reduction reaction, the electrons move towards an oxygen and hydrogen element. This will then produce water. However, ranging from 0.1% to 2%, there's a chance of another chemical being produced. When the oxygen prematurely takes in the electron, it creates something called superoxide radical. This oxygen state can be very harmful. As a harmless substance, it can produce a dangerous and toxic chemical. It can also be very dangerous if it reaches the DNA, as it will cause damage to it. If this occurs, it can kill the cell. Since the free radical originates in the mitochondria, it can cause a chain reaction which produces even more free radicals and decreases energy production. However, in order to fix this, the body consists of antioxidants which help obstruct the free radicals. Enzymes such as superoxide dismutase catalase and glutathione peroxidase help neutralize free radicals. Non-enzymatic defense include vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, and copper. However, these antioxidants can decrease according to lifestyle, genetics, and food consumption. Without enough antioxidants, the free radicals can grow in number, which will cause the body to not only get damaged but also trigger immune and stress response. Both of these later cause a chain reaction which can lead to an inflammatory response. The inflammatory response will severely impact the brain as it is the most susceptible to this reaction, as the brain requires the most amount of oxygen. Even if there is a minor change in the antioxidants, it can cause brain damage. Free radicals will damage the limbic system, a region of the brain which plays an important role in controlling anxiety and depression. C-reactive proteins is created by the brain as a result. This is very harmful as this is what causes depression and anxiety. This is where the ashwagandha comes in. According to statistics from the clinical trial, CRP reduction decreased significantly. Ashwagandha reduces neuroinflammation, which explains its effects. Both inflammation and stress are linked together as stress is the byproduct of inflammation. For example, the nuclear factor of Kb pathways, which when activated can cause it to release stress-related hormones. This includes cortisol. According to studies, ashwagandha is able to interrupt the NF-kB pathway. This explains why the clinical trial had such a positive reaction on the patients. The latest research even shows that ashwagandha not only helps reduce stress, but also helps with cancer reduction. Research on mice shows that there is possible chance that ashwagandha can treat cancer. Moving on, when cortisol is reduced significantly by ashwagandha, it can increase testosterone levels, muscle size, body strength, and male fertility. A research done by the International Society of Sports Institution in 2015 explains the documentation more specifically. Males between the ages 18 to 50 were separated into two groups, one being a placebo and the other being individuals taking 2 doses of 300 milligrams of ashwagandha root powder per day. Each were tested by pre-consumption and post-consumption after 8 weeks. As shown in the charts, the treatment group was able to achieve more muscle strength than the placebo. The placebo group, on average, was able to increase their bench press weights 26.4 kilograms, while the treatment group was able to pack on an average 46 kilograms to their bench press. Leg extension was also reported and similar results were shown. When measuring the chest and arms, the treatment group was able to increase the chest by 1.94 cm squared, thighs by 2.49 cm squared, and arms by 3.59 cm squared. The surprising results were noted and backs up how ashwagandha severely impacts the body. Finally, let's go over what we have learned. There are 2 types of stress, physical and chronic stress. Physical is not harmful as it helps protect the people from any external harm, while chronic stress is caused by emotions and can be dangerous to humans. Another fact learned is that stress caused by hormones such as cortisol can create neuroinflammation. This results in anxiety and depression. Ashwagandha, also known as Withania somnifera, can decrease cortisol levels by disrupting NF-kB, consists of antioxidants, and also contains phytochemicals, which are healthy for humans. Research on ashwagandha also shows tumor reduction, which can possibly be a way to treat cancer. Ashwagandha helps with increasing testosterone levels, muscle strength, and male fertility. As shown, this plant is very helpful with keeping any individual healthy. Research upon research supports it. If you're considering purchasing the ashwagandha root, it is recommended to buy it from a reputable brand. This confirms that you are getting the full benefit of ashwagandha. That concludes the documentary, and hopefully you'll learn something that will stick with you for the rest of your life. Thank you.